what is this program called the Pathway Home, and that's based at the Yountville Veterans Home. And the history of this and how this program got started really was out of the concern of a benefactor who goes unnamed, wishes to be unnamed still. We don't know who the person is, whether it's a he or she, but we are grateful to them. They had a concern that as men and women were returning from Iraq and Afghanistan, that there might not be enough services for them, particularly around transition, adjusting to coming home. There were actually a number of studies that the Army did looking at what we call pre-deployment, in other words, before the men and women ship out to overseas, and post-deployment. And what they were finding was that there were a very high number of men and women in uniform who were coming home with a number of psychological and social problems. The percentage was as high as 17 to 21%. Well, you just think of the hundreds of thousands that we deployed. That's a high number. In California, we've had over 27,000 National Guard men and women deployed. We're still deploying. So this is different. Also, the multiple deployments, people having to go maybe 3 to 4 to 5 times back and forth, depending on which branch of service, has also challenged us, I think, in the healthcare profession as to how do you help these people when they're being inundated over and over again. What we were not prepared for was the psychological side of this. I was approached by the Veterans Home, given my experience in working with the military and the VA for decades, and particularly in this most current conflict, as to if we were to build a program, where should it be and what should it look like? But I really said to them, we need to pay attention to lessons learned from treating other warriors from other wars and conflicts, but as well pay attention to this new genre, this new warriors. It's a different time. So we need to pay attention to that. So for example, I said, you know what we need to do? We need to have a wireless building. We need to bring in new technology. We need to do things that these warriors are familiar with. They're familiar with the internet. They're familiar with iPhones and iPods and sending photos in real time back home. But also, I think it was crucial, is having the community involved. And that's something that's really unique about this program. In Napa, the whole North Bay, and particularly Napa, though, has been very gracious in sort of reaching in, if you will, and then pushing the warriors who have returned to also extend themselves outward. So this kind of program really doesn't function solely on the Yountville Veterans grounds. It sort of runs across the Napa Valley. Keeping these men active is really essential. This is an opportunity that they didn't have before. And this is something unique that you can't find this at this point anywhere in the country. The other great attraction of this program is the ability to bring families. We have a setup at the Pathway program where we can bring families, regardless of where they reside, at no cost to them. We work with another nonprofit that will fly them in. So that really is essential for supporting these warriors and their families. So they come and they can stay from 3 to 5 days. They come multiple times. We also have had the parents, because like I said, many of these people are so young, and parents have come and stayed with us, and it's been fantastic for them. You know, we always hear that comment, is I recognize my son now, you know, or I feel like he's getting the help he needs. You know, for many of them, for the first time, it's going to be getting their first apartment, because many of them joined the service at 17, 18, right from home, and then spent six years or longer, sometimes a little shorter. So for some of them, it's the first time getting an apartment, first time getting a car. We've even had a few that didn't even have a driver's license. So there are many firsts for them. Many young parents, so many of them have little toddlers. So there's an amount of time dedicated to teaching them about parenting and how to differentiate, how to tell the difference between being in a war zone and being a parent. and the normal struggles we go through. Because in a war, they might be hearing children scream. They might be seeing children being injured, and sometimes children can even be the perpetrator. And now here they are with their kids, and they love their kids, but you know, kids are kids, and you get those terrible twos or up till 5 or 6 where they're kind of running on their own steam, and sometimes that's really hard for these returnees, but it's not insurmountable if they have the appropriate support, if they are in sort of the classes like parenting, trying to understand what that's about and normalize it. They do quite well. So we have a number of fathers now, young fathers who've since left our program. We're doing quite well with parenting. We don't see the divorce rate climbing by any means, which is a good sign. There are moments there that you just would never experience, if, you know, or I never would have experienced. I haven't been there, so I feel good. You know, I could be tired, but inside my soul feels good.